Let's move over to Europe for a minute. How do European immigration laws and policies differ from those here in the United States?
The Europeans really seem to be facing watershed events right now. Almost in every European country, there seem to be political parties growing up with very anti-immigration agendas, whether you look to Italy and the Northern League. Finland now just has an anti-immigration party elected into parliament, so does Sweden. Germany has a very strong anti-immigration movement, as does France. Now, some of this clearly stems from misinformation. Some of it stems from very different immigration laws than the United States has. Let me just give you one example. The Germans have a very different approach to citizenship than we do. We obviously have used birthright citizenship with the assumption that everyone born on U.S. soil and the child of U.S. citizens will, two separate categories, everyone born on U.S. soil as well as the child of a U.S. citizen born abroad will become a citizen. The Germans do not have that approach. They had traditionally, until 1998, taken the position that only if you were the child of a German citizen could you become a citizen, independent of where you were born. It was not until 1998 that they decided that even long-standing residents would have the right to give citizenship to the children born in Germany. What that meant is that it finally ended the idea of third-generation immigrants who still did not have citizenship. Now, this will become complicated in about, I guess now it's only 6 more years, when many of these young people born from 98 onward turn 18, and then they have to choose between their home country's citizenship and Germany's citizenship. Everybody believes that that provision will be taken out of the law by then, but so far no movement has been made. So you'll start having very different integration problems than you do in this country. I also don't think that the European have what I call an American founding myth, that you can come here and become a multimillionaire. Usually it's tied to economics, the gain, but it could also be just educational gain for your families. So you don't have the class movement that at least theoretically exists. We know it's not as large in the US as we've come to believe, but there's probably less of that in Europe. And so you have kind of the creation of large underclasses that are not protected and that don't have the belief that they can move up in the way that they do in this country. And integration problems are now driving restrictionism. You see this within the EU. You see it with the attempt to putting in stops at the outer borders of the EU, even in Africa now, ways to stop immigrants from even coming to European countries. The idea that Europe may just be for Europeans, so that Europeans can pick who they want to see immigrate. I mean, just a very different approach, really, than the United States. And I think the Europeans will struggle with this for a very long time, just because they have also very different histories in terms of individual countries and very different approaches to the different groups of immigrants that they have in the country.
And in France, the French government has been systematically throwing out people, the Roma people. Can you talk a bit about that as well?
Yes, that's been really, I think, a growing scandal in the European Union. I mean, historically, nobody has wanted the Roma, which used to be called Gypsy. Now, nobody uses that word anymore. They were clearly persecuted during the Third Reich. Also, they were also one of the last groups compensated for that, which I think is just indicative of the continued disrespect granted towards that group. Now, as the Eastern European countries where larger Roma populations live are being fully integrated and given full integration rights into the EU, you will see more Roma having the legal right to live in other countries. But right now, it's not quite that far yet. And so what the French apparently have done is they have targeted Roma populations who have Bulgarian and Romanian citizenship to send them home to their home countries. The French were initially, because this is embarrassing, disputing that they were targeting those particular population groups, but a memo was found that indicated that in fact they had done that. Now they took out the Roma word and seem to be indicating that they're going after anybody with that citizenship. But since they live in kind of smaller enclaves, it's very easy to go after that population group. There seems to be actions by the European Union against the French, but there isn't that much they can really do other than publicly censure them and basically say, if other countries follow this example, we will publicly chastise them and maybe enact some economic measures. Hard for me to believe, because I suspect Germany and Italy would love to do the same if they just could. They may not now because of this, but that's a population group nobody seems to, in particular, care about. It's interesting that the French seem to be going after them at this point, as, of course, at the same time, France, as well as Germany and Italy, seem to be having ever more issues with their Muslim populations, or at least publicly perceived issues at the same time that this becomes an issue in the United States.
Well, Dean Demleitner, thank you so much for your time. For more information about Hofstra Law School, visit law.hofstra.edu.